Hello viewers, welcome back. So in this session, we will see the last option under the group master creation. So let's go to accounts info group. Okay. Again, I've already created a group. So let me first, we will go to that group. I'm going to go to the alteration screen and I have created a group called appropriation group. We will see what is this appropriation, right? So the we saw in our previous two sessions, we saw these three options and how you can make use of these three options. And the last one here, what you're going to see here is the method of allocation when using in the purchase invoice. Now, there are two school of thought. Okay, one is that whatever is the additional cost that I'm incurring on my purchases, I would normally load that value in my ledger account, and it will also reflect as part of my expenses in my P&L account for each of those ledgers, which are additional cost of procurement during my purchases. So that is one school of thought, the normal school of thought. The other school of thought is basically some of the businesses would want to load the additional cost as cost of the inventory. Example, let us say I am buying a product for 100 rupees. Okay. And I'm going to incur an additional cost of say 10 rupees on that particular product that I'm procuring. So the two school of thought is, one is that yes, I make a purchase entry, then I account my inventory under my purchase invoice as 100 rupees. So my cost of my goods is going to show as 100 rupees, and whatever is the additional cost that I'm incurring, I'm going to pass an additional entry, and then I'm going to capture that information. But then at times what happens is that when you are making a purchase entry, there are some additional costs that are involved, which you are going to capture in that particular purchase invoice itself. Now, under those circumstances, you would not want to have the accounting value to be captured separately and the cost of item being captured at the basic cost. Okay. uh, that is the one way of accounting, right? So where you are going to enter the cost of your goods as 100 rupees, then your whatever is your additional cost, you are going to select that particular additional cost ledger that you have created, and you are going to capture that. So let's take the same example. I'm making a purchase invoice, and in the purchase invoice I am saying 100 rupees is the cost of my item, and I'm also selecting my additional expenses ledger in the same purchase invoice, and say I'm entering 10 rupees, right? So in the normal case, the moment you save this particular voucher on your expenditure side in your P&L account, the 10 rupees is going to show as an additional expenses, and 100 rupees it is going to show as the cost of your goods purchased. But then when you see your stock item is going to have the basic cost, which is 100 rupees. The second school of thought would want to appropriate that value of additional cost for all those items that they have purchased. Now, that is where you can use this option called method of allocation when used in the purchase invoice. Okay. So, what is this appropriation? Method of allocation used in the purchase invoice. When you come to this option, when if it is not applicable, if it is selected as not applicable, then what happens is that the additional cost value will not get appropriated to your inventory item. But when you want to appropriate, there are two ways of appropriating your additional cost for those items that you have procured. So one is by quantity and other one is by value. So again, it depends on the way that you want to appropriate. Sometimes if you feel that the value of the item that you are buying, more than one item, in case where you're buying more than one item, and the value of the item that you're buying uh, is going to be different, so in that case you can consider appropriate by value. So how does this appropriation by value takes place? Okay, I'll just give an example. And also appropriate by quantity. So that means, let us say you are buying something 100 numbers, and you are buying something at uh, 50 numbers, right? So one item is 100 numbers, the second item is 50 numbers. Now here you have an option whether you want to appropriate the additional cost based on the value of those item, or whether you want to appropriate based on the value of the quantity. Okay, so let me quickly give an example, and try and understand better how does this appropriation you would be selecting, and on what basis. Let us take a simple example to understand the appropriation by quantity and appropriation by value. Okay, so let's assume that I am purchasing some item. Either you are, let's say you are importing. Okay, so let us say you are importing item A, 100 numbers. Okay, at 1000 rupees each. Okay, so the purchase cost of your item is going to be, it's going to be 1 lakh. Okay, then you are also buying item 2 or item B, which you are buying 200 numbers at 500 rupees. Okay, and the value is also going to be 1000. Okay, now let us say the supplier is charging you shipping charges. Okay, shipping charges at the rate of, let us say, 10%. Is going to charge you shipping charges at the rate of 10%. So 10% on 2 lakh. Okay, so 10% on 2 lakh is going to be 20,000. Okay, so your total invoice value is going to be, purchase cost is going to be 2 lakh 20,000. 2 lakh 20,000. Okay, now one school of thought, whatever is the shipping charges that the my supplier has charged me, I am going to create a ledger called shipping charges, and I'm going to account this 20,000 rupees as my additional expenses. So what happens when you go to your P&L account? Your P&L account is basically going to tell you your purchase cost, which is going to be 2 lakh, and then your shipping charges is going to be 20 lakh. But then let's assume that you have no other stock, no other inventory, or you have not sold anything. So in that case, if you make this thing, if you are accounting this in the first school of thought, where you are not appropriating your additional cost, in that case what happens, it is going to now going to show you that your cost of your goods is going to be your closing stock of an item is going to show you 2 lakhs. Okay, so in this case what happens, so in this case, if you see your P&L account, okay, your closing stock is going to show 2 lakh, because that is what you have accounted as your purchase cost. And this 20,000, which is your additional cost, you have taken it as your direct expenses, as your shipping charges, right? So your purchase is going to be 2 lakh. The closing stock that is lying with you is 2 lakh. And additionally, you have spent 20,000 rupees. In this case, you are going to land up with gross loss of 20K. All right. Is this the right scenario? No, this is not the right thing because you have just purchased. All right. So this is one school of thought where you would want to keep this as an thing. So let me just quickly show this in Tally how it is going to reflect. Right. So I've not used the appropriation for my shipping charges. So let us say I've already passed a transaction. So I come to display statement of account, statistics, purchases, enter. Okay, so this is what I've done. I have purchased item A, 100 numbers at 1,000 rupees. Then item B, 200 numbers at the rate of 500. So 1 lakh plus 1 lakh, 2 lakh is my cost of my item. The shipping charge that was charged additionally at the rate of 10%. Now you know how to set up this 10% calculation also. So shipping charge 10%, 20,000 rupees. So my total landed cost is 2,20,000 rupees. So if I am accounting this, let us see the result of my P&L account or my trading account. So I go back to my gateway of Tally, then I'm going to press P for profit and loss account. And if you see here, I have purchased for 2 lakhs, right? And my closing stock value is 2 lakhs. Additionally, I have spent 20,000 rupees, and now I'm landed up with the gross loss of 20,000. This is not the right way of doing it. I mean, so I've just purchased. I've never incurred a loss. So this is where the second school of thought is that whatever is the additional cost that is incurred on purchase of goods, if it gets appropriated to the cost of the inventory, then I am not going to land up with a gross loss. So how do I handle this case? Now this is where Tally is going to help you to overcome this kind of a situation if you feel that this is not the right way of reporting for you in your organization. So I'm going to go to accounts info, group, alter, right? So I have created this group called appropriation group. Okay, I'm going to come here, and then Tally is asking me, how do you want to appropriate? Now, quickly, let us try and understand what happens or what is the impact of appropriation by quantity and appropriation by value. So let's come back to the same example. Now, here, if I say appropriate by value, so what happens? What is my total value of purchase? My total cost of purchase of item is 2 lakhs, right? Okay. And what is my shipping cost? My shipping cost is 20,000. So now Tally is asking you, how do you want me to appropriate? So this 2 lakhs is basically my item A and item B. How do you want to appropriate? Very simple. What if you say appropriate by value? What Tally does, it will take the total of all the total value of each of the item, and it will take the total cost. So in this case, it is 2 lakhs. So what Tally is going to do, your shipping cost is 20,000, right? And 2 lakh is what is your total cost of the product. Now when you divide this, right, so you are going to get 10K for item A and 10K for item B, because if you see, the value is the same, so it is going to split into two. So your item A will add 10K, item B will add 10K as additional cost, and it is going to give you your landed cost. Supposing if I do appropriate by quantity, what happens? Very simple. I hope you all of you know. So in this case, what it is going to do is, it is going to take this 20,000 rupees as my additional cost. What is the total quantity that I have purchased? 300 numbers I have purchased. So it is going to divide by 300 numbers and multiply by 100, okay, for my first item, and then it is going to multiply by 200 for my second item. So if I take 20,000 divided by 300, right? So the cost per item comes to around 66 rupees 67 paise, right? So 66, 67 into 100, it is going to now allocate 6,666.67 to my first item, which is my item A, which is my 100 quantity at the rate of 1000 rupees, right? And the balance it is going to do again, it is going to take 66.67 into 200 numbers. It is going to take 13,334. So the rounding off is taken care, right? So this is how. So in when you say appropriate by quantity, uh, it is now taken 6,666 for your item A, and then it is taken 13,334 for your item B, which is your 20K. So this is the difference. Now in this case, additionally, your cost, the landed cost of your item will be lesser compared to appropriate by value, which was 10K, and in this case it is going to be higher. So depending on the product, depending on the quantity, depending on the value, you decide how do you want Tally to appropriate. I hope this example would have given you a clarity on when to use. It depends on how you want to use for your item, whether you want to appropriate by quantity or whether you want to appropriate by value. So let us take this example of appropriate by value. So I'm going to select this appropriate by value. And what I have done already is that I've already created a ledger, accounts info, ledger, alter, right? So I have created a ledger called shipping charges, right? So because of my use for calculation, I've given 10% calculation here, right? Control enter, and let's come back to that particular voucher, because that voucher is saved without appropriation. Now, how do we update with appropriation? Very simple in Tally. All you have to do is just go to that particular voucher and re-accept them, right? So I come to display statement of account statistics, and then I go to my purchase, enter, and this entry is passed without appropriation. Now, since I've changed my master, I'm going to now, I mean, like, capture the change in the master, where I want now the value to be appropriated based on value, right? The shipping charges. So what I do, I just come here, I can just enter this, or you can just say control A, and I've accepted. So that means now Tally is going to take into effect the appropriation that you have selected in your group. Let's come back to our P&L account now. Now I come to my P&L account and see here, I am not landing up with any gross loss. Okay. My cost of my purchase, my total purchase cost is 2,20,000, and my closing stock is also 2,20,000. What has happened? If I come to my closing stock, and you will notice here, the cost is now automatically added to my item. So 100 numbers, my base cost was 1000, now it has become 1100, right? And my second item, 200 numbers, base cost was 500, now the additional cost got added to it. Now my landed cost is 550, and my total cost is 1 lakh 10,000, so 2 lakh 20,000. So this way I am getting a proper reporting of my P&L account. So again, it depends how do you want to handle this. Now there are very interesting aspect of this appropriation, where you want to appropriate the value of your item on an additional expenses, which is not part of your purchase cost. This is a very simple thing that we have taken. The purchase, the additional cost is accounted in the purchase. Now what happens in case of when you are importing the goods, there is customs duty levied. Okay, and there are various other custom clearance charges, and you would have appointed a clearing agent who's going to now charge you. Then there are transportation charges and various other charges. How do we handle that is again a different subject altogether. We will see the impact and implication during the that session, when I'm going to talk about the appropriation. One is the simple method of appropriation is this, right? Now, the next question that comes to your mind is that, okay, this 20,000 shipping charges which I have selected in my invoice, where is that value? Now, in accounting, you are not going to get that value here. If you notice here, the earlier one we saw the direct expenses had this 20,000. That is where Tally was showing you, or your PL or your trading account was showing a gross loss of 20,000. So now, though you have selected the particular ledger called shipping charges in the voucher, it has taken that value, it is appropriated between those items that you have purchased, right? So that is why the accounting value of that particular ledger is going to be zero, no, because that value is now gone and added to the cost of your item. So let's go and see what happens. So I go to display, I go to accounts book, I go to ledger, and then I select shipping charges, enter. You will not find any value. But whereas if you don't appropriate, then the 20,000 rupees is going to reflect in your shipping charges ledger, right? So this is how you use your the appropriation option in your group, depending on the need and the requirement of reporting of your trading account and reporting of your closing stock, uh, whichever way you feel is right. So whatever is your school of thought 1, Tally handles. School of thought 2, Tally handles. Now, quickly, I will just walk through the TallyPrime of these options that we have done in the previous two sessions also. So basically, for you to get to know that, okay, so whatever we have understood in the demo aspect that we saw in Tally ERP is going to be the same in case of Tally Prime also, right? So the first one what we saw was, so in TallyPrime, we will see all these options, how the screen looks in Tally, and what is the experience, the same kind of experience that we saw in Tally ERP. The only thing here is that we have discussed this earlier, right? So we don't have accounting master, inventory master, right? So we have this one master where it is create alter. So I go to alter, and then I will select my group, and then I select my sundry debtors and sundry creditors. So you see the same thing. What we saw in Tally ERP, all the options are the same. Now these options are set as default, and quickly I will show you how you can enable these options. The first thing that we saw, the first option that we saw was in case of group behaves like subledger. Okay, so all these four options, I'm just going to quickly show you how it behaves, right? So I go to mm, yeah, go to display trial balance. Now I'm going to say alt F1, right? So it is not going to explode my sundry creditors, ledgers under sundry creditors, and ledgers under sundry debtors. So if you want to explode the second level, then remember your secret number 2, which is your F12 configuration, and we have an option here saying that expand all level in detail format. You're going to say this as yes, and then the moment you press Control A, you will notice that all the ledger under sundry creditors and sundry debtors are exploded, or it is giving you the detail. Now you don't want this to happen. Like I said, you have lots and lots of sundry debtors and sundry creditors. So how do you make this to behave like sub ledger, right? So you come here, Control Enter, and then you come here and then say yes, Control A. And even though if you see in my F12 configuration, we have already set expand all level in detail format to yes, but still the sundry creditors has now collapsed all its ledger, because now this is acting as a sub ledger, right? So similarly, you come to sundry debtors group, Control Enter, right, and then come here and make this as yes, Control A, and again sundry debtor is acting like a sub ledger. So this is the first option. So no change from ERP to TallyPrime. And let's quickly now come to accounts, display accounts book, I'm going to come to group summary, and then I'm going to select my current asset group, control enter, right? And then now here again, it is going to show my sundry debtors with the total of debit of all the ledgers, and also total of credit of all the ledgers. Now we wanted, what do we want? We wanted the net balance. How do I do this? Very simple. I press control enter here, come here and make this option as yes, and I say control A, and now it is netted off the credit balance, and it is giving me the net of debit only, right? So similarly, if you come to your other thing, like what we saw, um, use for calculation purpose, right? So you come to alter group, right? So I have again created this calculation group. So when I make this use for calculation purpose, for example, taxes discount, I make this as yes. Once I make this as yes, now when I come and create ledger, again I've already created a ledger, so I'm going to go to the alter and I'm going to show you ledger. And then we had this insurance ledger where we had configured 5%, and we also saw that how the moment you select this insurance ledger in my sales invoice, Tally is automatically calculating 5% on the total sale. Okay, similarly the handling charges also is done, right? The appropriation also is done in the similar way. Same experience, there is no change. So I come to alter, I come to group, then I have this appropriation group, and here again is the same option that is available. We discussed about appropriate by quantity, appropriate by value, and whatever is the selection that you do. We also saw in the example how the appropriation of the additional cost differs based on the criteria that you set as appropriate by quantity or appropriate by value, right? So quickly, if you want to see the entry, I come to display, statement of account, statistics, and then I go to my sales voucher, and then I'm going to select here. And this is where the insurance, the moment you select insurance, it is going to charge 5%. What we saw in Tally ERP, handling charges 2%, it is going to calculate. Similarly, when you come to your purchase entry, and sorry, when you come to your purchase entry, enter here, enter, and item A, item B, you have purchase shipping charges at the rate of 10%. It is already calculated. And since we have set the value as appropriate by value of the additional cost, right? So it would have appropriated by value. And let's quickly go to a stock summary and then see what is the impact of this transaction. Now I come to stock summary. Again, you are seeing the same kind of information just now what we saw in Tally ERP. Item A, basic cost was 1000, additional cost is 100, which is the shipping cost. So it got added to your item, and now you have this 1100. Similarly, your item B, 200 numbers you have purchased, basic cost is 500, additional cost is 50. So now it is the transaction. So don't worry about the quantity, because there are other transactions which are there. Though we bought 100 numbers, it will consider that 100 numbers as 1100, right? So I hope the magic of additional options in group creation master, the four options that we saw would be helpful to you. Now you have understood the impact and the implication of these options, and now you can confidently go and configure the way you wanted for your organizations. So thank you all once again for staying till the end. So as usual, if you're not subscribed, kindly subscribe. You can share these videos to your friends so that they can also get benefit out of it. See you all until the next session. Thank you.